What's up, everybody? It is live streaming time for Wednesday, March 5th. Wednesday, March 5th. What's up, everybody? I think I got the comments thing sorted out. I ended up going with a Chrome extension instead of a standalone app on my Mac. So hopefully, number one, hopefully I get as many comments as I did last time because that was fun. But two, hopefully I don't lose track of the LinkedIn comments like we did the last time because that was not fun. So we're here today. Oh, before I start, feel free to drop comments. I'm happy to answer questions if I know the answer. Double click on things, go different directions. I'm not set to an agenda, but I did want to, in this live stream, explore something I've been wanting to explore for a long time, and that's the Smart Assessment Engine. In fact, I have the documentation for it up right here. And I started seeing the Smart Assessment Engine. Gosh, was it Vancouver? I'm curious. Let's go to my store applications. Oop, I put too many S's in there. Smart Assessment Core. When did I start seeing this in my crawler? Let's see. Version histories. Yeah, that's not right. I think it was around before February of last year. So let's go back. So Yokohama, we're on Yokohama. Then there was it Washington? WXYZ? Xanadu, Washington, Vancouver. So maybe it was February of 2024. Like that just said right here, Yokohama to Vancouver. Okay. So anyway, Smart Assessment Engine. When I first started seeing it, I saw it related to the integrated risk management applications. So think about policy and compliance, risk management, case management within policy and compliance, regulatory change management is actually what kind of was the genesis for this live stream. Is I'm doing a regulatory change management implementation, and what's funny is I workshopped and scoped it using what I thought was the current assessment engine, and between the workshop and me actually hands on keyboard, Yokohama Early Access, which released some ServiceNow store applications, which updated regulatory change management and smart assessments. So now regulatory change management uses smart assessments. It'll use both, but it's using it. So that's kind of where I finally got the exposure to it that I was looking for. And I thought it was worth actually doing a live stream on it because it's pretty neat. So one of the first things that you will notice if you install Smart Assessment Core, in fact, let's take a look at what is installed so you know how your PDI or your instance might vary from mine. So what I've got installed is everything I could install that might be related. So advanced response automation for smart assessments, post-assessment actions, basic scoring, smart assessment migration tools, smart assessment connected, and smart assessment designer, and smart assessment core. So, and then the dependencies that come with it. And it looks like I got them all up to date too. I'm impressed with myself. Okay, so when you install all of this, it will come with an asset or assessment workspace. I almost said asset management workspace, with an assessment workspace. And this is all kind of part of the new look and feel for Smart Assessment Engine. And I actually like it. I'm a big fan of kind of how easy it was to use and to configure. I do have a couple of gripes, and we'll probably get to that at some point. And I'm probably not going to have time to show you everything I just showed in the plugins. Especially I haven't messed around with the post-assessment actions and automated responses or anything like that. But let's open the one that I actually did open or did actually see. So this is a regulatory impact analysis questionnaire template. It's in a different scope. So let me just change my scope. I did find something interesting, and I'm not as familiar with the old assessment engine. So this is probably like where I'll spend most of my time is on the new one anyways. But I've noticed with this one, as soon as it's published and that assessment gets instantiated, meaning an assessment is created from that template, from that published template, you cannot edit the template ever again. You can clone it, you can copy it and make changes to it and then use that one, but you cannot make changes to it once it's been instantiated. I think it's probably by design. It makes all sense in my head. Like if you go change something, what does that mean for the old assessments? However, I would have liked to have seen like some versioning on it, right? So it's like the old version, like an existing instantiated assessment is linked to a version of an assessment template. And when you make a new version, it's the same as copying it, I guess, but it's just more intuitive to me. But I didn't design it, and no in ServiceNow. There's probably changes to come at some point with the smart assessments. I am not seeing any comments, so I think I'm okay. Um, but if you do have questions about anything that I'm showing, definitely stop me. But let's take a look at what's on this particular form. So we've got a template name. You can name it whatever you want, template description, and you can actually have template categories. Now, these categories you can configure under the Smart Assessment Administration menu, I believe it was. We'll just wait for my slow menu here to load. I hate it when it does this. Come on. Hello. Come on, PDI. You can do it. This is so annoying. Jay sent me a link to fix this, and I I put it in my backlog of stuff to work on. And you can tell I haven't fixed it. Let me take a sip of water while we're waiting. I don't remember waiting this long. Okay. Smart assessment template or smart assessment engine template categories is where you could go configure what those categories are. So notice everything right now is on a compliance and regulatory change and risk. But there's other applications actually using this as of Yokohama. One of those is hardware asset management. There's some assessment stuff. I don't have any of that installed yet, but let's continue to take a look at this. So you can set a category and then you can set the target. Now notice this is in kind of view only mode. If I edit, I should be able to change anything because I haven't actually instantiated this particular assessment in this instance. Yeah, so now I can edit the template. So that should, yeah. So you can set the target table for your assessment, kind of similar to the old assessments. So there's that. There are some settings included with it, the duration, how long they have to do it, and what role is actually tied to that particular assessment. So those are your two settings, or your general settings, I guess, general details and general settings for your smart assessment. Okay, then to the good part, the questions. So it's got a nice little structure here on the left-hand side to kind of build out the sections and then the questions within those sections. You cannot have a question that's not in a section. I learned that out, or I learned that the first time. And it does come with this little reference at first. So this reference, when you are completing an assessment, it's going to show on the right-hand side. And I can show you what that looks like in regulatory change. It's going to, it's fine. We'll just go over there. Regulatory is going to compliance workspace. I'm sure there's other places, but this is where I'm familiar with it. So I'm going to open a regulatory alert. If you're not familiar with this application, this is basically getting a feed of alerts from RSS feed or a third-party service, and it brings in new regulations from the government bodies or regulating bodies, and puts them in an organized way with the taxonomy so that you can I don't see the button I should see for this. Interesting. I think it's going to do the old assessment. If I initiate it. Yeah, this is using the old one. Maybe I need to update the regulatory change application to see it. Um, I really wanted to show that. How can I show that? Okay, let me go back a little bit. Let me go to my application manager and let's just see if regulatory change has some updates. No, got everything there. Does the compliance workspace have some updates? Compliance work. Is it policy and compliance? Workspace. You know what I could do? Discovery admin, continuous monitoring, audit management, risk management, operational resilience. There it is. Compliance management workspace. There is an update available, so that's probably why it's different from the customer instance I'm working on. So we'll get this churning in the background. Yeah, it's going to grab all that stuff, install. I don't believe it actually took that long. when I did another update. So we'll get that going. Um, so let me actually pull this up so you can see um, what it actually looks like in configuring, using, creating an assessment template, triggering assessment, responding to assessments. So this is the window I'm trying to get to. Okay, so where I was showing there, when you're with that particular card that you're adding in the details for, this is where it shows up. So someone's over here completing the assessment, and while they're completing it, they can have a reference to the record that they're assessing. And so on that card, you're configuring what details actually show up. So in this case, they're assessing an incident record. There's the incident details like description, short description, number, caller, assigned to manager, assigned to manager, assigned to manager name. It's interesting. People and dates as all configured on that initial card that before I moved into the update to show you that. So it's almost done. It won't take too long. So there, I thought that was neat, right? Because I can't remember exactly how it was in the old one, but there was some kind of disconnect from I'm assessing something and now I need to reference that thing I'm assessing. So you'll probably want to make sure that as they're completing their assessment, answering these questions, you give them as many details over here on the right hand side by editing that card on your assessment template. So that's advice number one for Justin, from Justin, that you did not ask for. But okay, so it's 97%. This last little like bit always takes the longest. I don't know about how your mileage is, but for me, when I'm installing and updating, it goes and then we wait at 97 or 98% or sometimes 99% for like 5 minutes, but it shouldn't take too long here. There's not a lot that changed with Yokohama except this in regulatory change management, except the smart assessment capabilities. So they're going to redo, you'll see the UI actions are going to change at the top. From a initiate impact assessment, it'll be a drop down for impact analysis assessment and a risk assessment. The impact analysis assessment uses the smart assessment engine, and I believe the risk assessment uses the old assessment engine. So that's the difference. And then there's like, I think one other UI change within that workspace that I remember seeing. In fact, while we're waiting, let's go to my inventory of ServiceNow applications, and we'll do GRC. What was that called? That was called GRC Compliance Management Workspace. Compliance Management Workspace. There it is, and we should be able to see the change log because I remember reading this. So January 30th, 2025, control attestations using smart assessments. That's actually not all that was in there. So let's do one other application. Smart assessment core, I believe it was. Or was it regulatory change? I think that's regulatory change. And I need GRC in front of that. There we go. Let's check out that change log in the store. Okay, yeah, so introduced new impact assessment feature based on the smart assessment engine for regulatory alerts, which is what I was talking about. And then the other things, they trigger both impact and risk assessment, improved overview and landing page with new reports on impact assessment, and then they removed some things. So that was the big changes in that one. So let's go check on it. Oh my God, it's still at 98%. Come on. There we go. It must have heard me and complied. We'll let the screen refresh here, and then we'll head back into compliance workspace because I want to show you that card and relate it to what we're editing in the template. Actually, I kind of did. I did on the screenshot, so we'll see it again. We'll just remind you before I pull it up. Here's the card that we're editing. This is where it's going to show up on the actual assessment when somebody's taking the assessment. So let's head back to our assessment workspace. Looks like it kicked me all the way out. Nope, I'm still in my template. Let's go to questions. Okay, so this assessment reference, this is the card that I was talking about. So you get to pick what field you want to show up there. They've already done this for us on this particular assessment. I'm not going to mess with any of that, but if we wanted to change the order of them, add additional things, remove things, this is the place you do that, and this is what it's going to change right here on the right-hand side, okay? Second thing that you can't change is the instructions. I mean, you can not include the instructions. And when they fixed it. So in my customer's instance, the instructions have a lowercase I. And it was driving me bonkers. And it looks like on mine, it's an uppercase I. So I don't know what the difference is, but you can provide some instructions to the people who are completing the assessment. And then we get into the different sections. So this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sections. And if I expand a section, I can see different questions. So there is a question. I can add additional stuff. We're going to build out one of these, so I won't go through this too much. This one's actually a choice. So you got yes, no, not sure. You can add some choices. You can specify the question type. You can specify how many they can select. You can specify whether it's required. You can specify whether they need to provide justification or may provide justification. And then you can enforce the justification by clicking or flipping this little toggle. And then you can do some other things here. So that's the general flow of what we're going to build together in this one. There's also, because I installed it, I haven't messed with it yet, automations. So I don't know much about this at all, so I'm going to skip right over it. Maybe we'll do a part 2 or I'll put out a video, but I haven't messed with the automations yet. I have messed with the scoring, and when this is on, it's interesting. I won't turn it on this template. We'll turn it on another template. But speaking of that, let's go ahead and we'll go back to the home page and we'll create a blank assessment. So this will be open house session. What's today's date? 2025-03-05. And then description, created this during the weekly live stream to show all the features, most of the features anyways, some features. There's a lot in here. So I'm going to use the regulatory impact analysis for the category because I want to be able to show it to you in a workspace. And it's the only place I know it'll work. But in theory, you can trigger these through a flow in Flow Designer. There's some actions. I hope we get to that part because I haven't got to go mess with those yet. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a regulatory alert here. If I can spell. There we go. Go ahead and create that. It does the homework there for those details, and then the settings, I'm not going to change anything except maybe make sure that that is grc_reg, change user, save that, and then let's start building out some questions. Okay, so we can add the reference. This is that card that shows up. So we may want the description, and let's see, I think it was the number. I'm going to move number up here. Description, overall impact. Let's do regulatory URL and the citation. That sounds interesting. And let's say compliance date, effective date, expiration date, and there should be is there a publication date? No. Reminder date, regulatory stage. That might be interesting to see. And source publication date. There it was. Not publication date, source publication date. Okay, so I've got some stuff to show up on that little card. So it's showing there. I'll just save on that. There is this little like kind of nuance when you're moving through these. Make sure you hit the save button before trying to move away, like add another question. If we model this like the last one, that had some instructions. So you can just click the add instructions here, and then you can put whatever instructions you want. So let's just copy paste some content from here into my instructions. So we have some text in there. Sweet. That looks nice. What else can we do there? We can delete the instructions, and I'll just go ahead and save that. Now, if I want to add a question, you can't add a question without there being a section. So I wanted to show you that error message. So let's go ahead and add a section. And we'll call this the questions, different question types is what I'm going to call this, different question types. It's got a little summary, how many sections and subsections. So you can get pretty nested here. If you think about where I know they're headed with this, if you think about the third-party risk management and like the vendor questionnaire, or you've probably gotten them or visited them where you have a vendor you're trying to onboard and they kind of complete a bunch of information about how they're compliant with certain regulations. Those questionnaires can be pretty intense, right? Lots and lots of questions, all organized into sections and subsections. So that's what you're seeing here is the ability of laying the groundwork for building out one of those assessments. So I got my section here. We'll just put my name back in the description and then we'll save that. Sweet. And now I can add questions to this section. So let's go ahead and add our first question. Here's the different types. So we've got choices, so we can do drop downs, radio buttons, checkboxes, freeform, so text or number values, and then reference, something else in ServiceNow, attachment, so upload something, or date and pick something. This is what it is currently. I don't know what it'll be, long term. But the way to do this, we'll just do first question. I don't know why I'm losing my voice. Might be a little dehydrated. I went for a run right before this, so I just need a little water. All right, first question. Let's do a drop down for the first question, and we'll get the choices as, I probably should have had some like apple, banana. We'll add another choice here. What's your favorite fruit? Apple, banana, cherry, and is there a fruit that starts with D? I don't know a fruit that starts with D. It's kind of on the fly. If anybody knows a fruit that starts with D, leave a comment. E, F, fruit. I could say fruit in general. Okay, so I've got that in there. I've got some choices. This will be a drop down. And we can specify whether this is single select or multi-select. I'll leave it single select. We can set it to required, and we can say make this conditionally visible based and build out the conditions for that. So only show the question under certain conditions. Jim Pacello, dragon fruit. Thank you, Jim. That's awesome. Dragon fruit. I knew there was like a stinky fruit in India. I thought it started with a D, but I couldn't remember the name of it. So we'll go with dragon fruit. Thanks, Jim. That's awesome. And my comments are working, so that's awesome too. All right. So we'll save that. Now we've got that up there, and let's see. We can ask for justification. Now, actually, my customer wanted this, so if they provided any answer, I had the wrong thing. You can have it ask for justification. I didn't want a condition. Ask for justification. I'm actually going to leave the condition blank, right? So you could say only ask for justification if the answer is dragon fruit or something like that. So let's just say if the answer is dragon fruit, you could do that, but I'm not going to do that. We'll kill that. And I'm just going to hit confirm. And now I should have the justification. Right? Okay, yep. See, the save thing is weird. So now I got to save that, and that should work. Jim gave me a emoticon, a laughing emoticon. Thank you, Jim. I love that the comments are working. I've been trying for weeks to get those comments working consistently. Should I check LinkedIn and make sure? Yeah, nothing's over on LinkedIn, so good. Okay, and let's see, ask for attachments. You can condition that, and then mark preferred answers. Oh, that's interesting. Mark preferred answers. Build a filter. Answer is banana. I don't even know how that would look. Preferred answers. Oh, you notice my justification didn't show up either. Let me hit save. I'm going to turn that back on. Ask for justification. We will say the answer is not empty. So as long as they respond, that's what I did for my customer. As long as they respond to the question, ask them for justification. And now I should get a little drop down. I do. Let's save first. And then I can say make it required, right? So they have to fill out that justification. There we go. And then let's see, ask for attachments, which I gotta save first. Son of a biscuit. Save. We won't do this for every question. I just wanted to go through these quickly. Ask for attachments. Answer is not empty. Just stick with that same one. So there we go, that one. And what's the last thing I can do? Automate a response. Oh, gotta save. Save. Automate response. Default response is dragon fruit. And then set response as editable. Okay. Okay, yeah, that's right. I remember reading this. It's meant to like help people complete the assessments faster by actually pre-filling in some of the responses. I'm on the fence on that one, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But okay, I think we can. Oh, we can add a question description. I'd actually do that. Fruit is healthy for your body, so select your favorite. And we'll add that. Where does it put that? Down here. Question description. It's very interesting. Guidance: rich text and images displayed in a modal. Okay, so let's grab some rich text. Let's see what we got here. Example of a progress bar in state badges. There we go. Images and text. Paste. Wait, there it is. This picture is gigantic, so let's see if we can size that down a little bit. Here we go. It's not gonna let me resize this. There we go. It's just so big. I'm gonna have to do this a million times. I want it to look nice when we're actually in the trying to complete the assessment. Okay, that's a little bit better. There we go. Got my horizontal scroll bar gone. All right, so now I've got some guidance. We'll add that, and then we'll save. Okay, so I've turned on everything possible for this question. Let's try a next question. Next question is, we're gonna do a radio button, and then we'll do, what do we want to do with the radio button? What radio button question? There we go. Let's keep this simple. And then we'll have option A and option B. And we can add more choices if we want to, and then we can set this to required or not. And that's as much as I'm going to do on that one. Okay, so that's a radio button question, and let's add another question then for checkbox. Checkbox question. And then we can do some choices. Choice 1 and choice 2. I wonder what those checkboxes do. Add choice 3. Notice there's no order button. I don't know, the checkboxes don't do anything. But I can't reorder them. So I just have to move, you have to change the actual text in order to move it. Yeah, no different options there. Okay, so there's my choices. Let's add the next one, which will be text. Yep. Enter some text. We'll make that required. Save. Next question. We'll do a number. Enter a number. And we'll make that required. I don't like why you would do an assessment and not have the questions required. Like why waste somebody's time if you don't really care? Anyways, next question, we'll do a reference to a ServiceNow table. All right, so we will refer to reference question. What table do we want to refer to? Let's just take a look at the tables. You know, I've been poking around in this table here lately. Not that table, sorry, this table. I've been hurting my brain with CSDM trying to link service offerings with services that connect back to product models that connect to sold products within customer service management's install base application. And it's like, it's a complete mind, you know, it's like, it all works, but it's just, it's hard to wrap your head around at first. All right, field to display in drop-down section. Did I do the right service offering? Yeah, service underscore offering. All right, field to display, we will do the name of the service offering to display, and then we'll require it. So I don't know, are they picking a record? I haven't actually done this before, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like when they're completing it. And then we have one last, two more, attachment. So we're gonna request an attachment. Attachment question. Make that required, save. And then the last type here is a date picker. So date question. And we'll make that required. There's a preview down below. Lead only visual preview of how the date time input will look to the assessor. Okay, save. All right, so we've made a complete assessment, and it's only been 30 minutes. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on scoring. Okay, so they put it in this different tab. In fact, when I first went to go build or not build to configure the assessment for my customer, the scoring tab wasn't even there. And as you saw when I went to the application manager, the basic scoring is an additional application you have to install if you want to use it. So if you want to enable scoring, you can turn it on there, and then you can set up the score for the whole assessment by turning that on there, and then specify you're going to group all sections together or all questions together, and then what function you're going to apply. I did weighted average because I wanted to weight the different things, and I'm going to do all sections together. So let's do with what I've done, and I know that works. And let me try and make sure that that's clear exactly what I just set up. I said, I want to do scoring on my assessment, and I want the whole assessment to have a score. And then in order to get that score, I'm going to group all my sections together or all my questions together. And if those have a value related to them, I'm going to weight and average them. So some questions might be weighted more than others and have a different overall impact to the assessment. Okay. So now that this is done, when we head back, let's make sure we hit save. Let's go back to the questions, and you're going to see the experience is going to be slightly different. So let's start with what's your favorite fruit. Now I can turn on scoring on the individual question. It defaults to off, but now that scoring is enabled for the assessment, I can turn this on. When I turn it on, I get to set a score for each value that they have to select. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I can specify the question weight. How many questions I have? 8, and let's do 8 questions divided by, what do I want to do? 100 divided by 8? I can't do that math. Hold on. 100 divided by 8 is 12 and a half. Okay, so we'll do 12 and a half. 12.5. We're just going to weight it, evenly amongst all the different questions. Okay, so there's the scoring there, and we'll just proceed to do this for each of our questions. So we'll just do this with 10, 20, and that's going to be 12.5. Save it. Go to the next question. We'll turn on scoring. Ooh, I forgot to make that required. And then we'll do 20, 30, 40. Oh, because you have more than one. So we'll sum all that up and then give that a weight of 12.5. So because they can select more than one, you have to tell it, hey, what do you want to do? That's cool. I hadn't seen that yet. Enter some text. Okay, no scoring. Look at this. Change character limit on the text. So I can change it, enter a whole number between 1 and 1,000. All right, so when we want people to be brief, and we'll change that to 150. I like it. All right, so no score on that one. Interesting. Okay, we can do scoring on the number, and you'll use the numeric response as the score, and then we'll give that a weight of 12.5. Save. Reference question, can't do scoring on this one. Okay, attachment question, can't do scoring on this one. That makes sense. And date, can't do scoring on date. Okay, so looks like scoring is limited to choices, radio buttons, checkboxes, and numbers is what I'm seeing there. So let me change this. We got a pretty good, we'll just leave that alone. I was going to change this to choice question, but I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, I think we're good. We have everything done. We have the scoring done. I'm not going to play around with automations. It is still in draft, so let's go ahead and publish. Can't publish. Assessment scoring configuration is incomplete. Okay, I didn't do something. What did I not do? Scoring. Set up scoring configuration for at least one section to calculate the assessment score. Okay, questions, section, enable scoring. Okay, and then we're going to group all questions together, apply the weighted average. Actually, I'm just going to do average. How do I want to do this? I don't really want to, if all the questions, I'm going to change my scoring. I'm going to do all questions together instead of all sections. And that way I shouldn't have to configure scoring on the questions, on the section. Because every question has a score with a weighted average. I don't need the section, I need the assessment. So let's try publishing now. So what I changed was from all sections together to all questions together. I don't know if it's coming across to you as you're watching this, but this is like highly, this could build out some highly complex assessments based on whether you're scoring the questions themselves or each section has a score, and then that question score to assessment roll up, you have configuration options around that. So even though it's like two settings there, that could get pretty complex with how you're calculating scores. So to me, I see flexibility in that configuration, meaning I can configure that in many different types of ways. So I think that's pretty cool. Now that I changed that, will it let me publish it is the question. Publish. Yes, can't publish. I'm actually save my change. I had saved like 10 times. Made it save there. Automations, scoring, save, publish. You must save your changes. Okay, I don't. Where my? What changes do I have that I haven't saved? Just go through here. Why do I run into all the bugs? Last week in the live stream, we did collaborative work management, and I couldn't share anything. Like the share button and the permissions didn't work. I haven't gone back and tried it since the live stream, but I've got everything saved. I don't know why it's acting funny, but it's okay. We can. Oh, okay, it's happy. Template published. Perfect. We'll go back to the template list, and now I should see my. Where to go? What did I call it? Hit refresh. There it is. Open house session. All right, there we go. So that's my new assessment. And now if the workspace updated properly, I should be able to kick this off and assign it. All right, we got a comment from Jim. Let's see. Would be nice if it told you which items weren't yet saved. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I even like saved anything. I think I just went back through every screen and something got reset. So yeah, I agree, Jim. I think they'll be making some more changes too. And I should have said, this is early. It's early access, but the store apps, they're published and compatible with previous instances. Like my customers' instances, like Washington or Vancouver, and they're already seeing all of the stuff that I'm showing you here. So you don't have to be on Yokohama for some of this. But the reason I said that is because usually right before a release will go generally available, there'll be one last sweep of fixes and stuff. It's usually. So maybe there will be some fixes in this one. But all right, let's head over to compliance workspace. Again, I'm only coming here just because I know it should work from here. But there's actually different ways to trigger these assessments. Now, like I was showing you earlier, this dropdown has now changed. It was a button before, now it's a dropdown, and we can do a regulatory assessment or a risk assessment. I made the category on my assessment a regulatory impact assessment, so it should show up in my list of options here. It does, open house sessions, and we're going to assign it to myself. Ooh, no, I can't assign it to system admin. All right, we'll assign it to Abraham Lincoln. All right, there we go. And we'll give Abraham Lincoln until tomorrow to finish that assessment. We'll send. And now we'll get to see what that looks like for Abraham Lincoln. And the way I'm going to do that is there are some notifications turned on. So I'm going to search for email, and I'm going to go into the logs, and I'm going to copy the link that Abraham Lincoln would have received if he had email, if he was alive, and if he had email. Let's see, there it is. You've been assigned a regulatory change impact assessment. So it's good. You can see what the email looks like. Beautiful, right? Beautiful email. But there is the link, copy link address. And now I'm going to impersonate old Abraham Lincoln. There we go. And yeah, I went to SOW because I'm doing a demo later with walk-up experience. But I'm going to, let me show you what I'm doing. I'm just going to paste in the URL that I copied, which Abraham Lincoln would have clicked on. And now you can see what this looks like for Abraham Lincoln. So let me move my head out of the way first. And actually, I want to keep my head over there. This is the details that we selected, the regulatory alert people. No, I selected more than that, didn't I? I thought I selected a whole bunch of stuff in my my fields. This just has the regulatory alert, the people, and the dates. Interesting. So I've got view details. Maybe that's it. Interesting. So that card that I set up, I don't even see any of it, but okay. It's 13% complete, so we've got 1 out of 8 questions, and we can filter. So again, remember I said that some of these assessments can get kind of crazy. So there's this nice filter for all our unanswered questions. I don't know what this padlock does. To submit, you must complete the following. Okay, so it's locked the submit button until I've completed the 7 required questions. What else can I do? I can reassign it to somebody else. There's my attachments, comments. I can make comments on it. Okay, pretty cool. All right, so let's look at this. What's your favorite fruit? It defaulted to dragon fruit, which remember we set that automation up to default it, but I can change it to something else if I want to put in Apple. I can. But let's go. Ooh, actually, before we do that, let's view the guidance that we set up. So the question, the additional text is showing up right underneath the question. That's pretty cool. And then the view guidance shows up in a pop-up modal. Wow, that's actually pretty nice. I didn't think it was going to look that nice, but it actually looks pretty good. So you could give like some really, thorough guidance and some information in there. You know what would be cool is if the guidance could pull in like knowledge articles or knowledge blocks, so that it kind of varied the content based on who was viewing it. And that'd be cool. Like a tight integration there between guidance and knowledge. That was my camera. Okay, so let's go ahead and pick a response, dragon fruit. And now we've got to provide a justification. So Jim said this is the best fruit in all the land. So that's why I picked it. And we can attach some stuff. No attachments available. Let me double check my attachments and make sure nothing crazy. Okay, yeah. Is there nobody's? I want to make sure nobody's names are going to show up on. I did that the last live stream and I felt bad. Too trash. Okay, I don't think anybody's names are going to show up now. Yeah. So let's select a file. And we will do the Thomson Reuters developer terms of use. How's that? I was messing around with the Thomson Reuters, and you can sign up for. Hey, Jerry's here. What's up, Jerry? He says, "Hey, Justin, popping by to say hi and hope everyone is well." Yeah, I hope you're doing well, Jerry. It should be what is it? Almost like 7 o'clock or 1900 your time. Jerry's over in the UK, so if he's working from home. Glad to have you, Jerry. I appreciate you coming to these. It's always good to see you. Your picture didn't come through, but at least the LinkedIn came through, so I'm happy about that. No picture. Your picture is on LinkedIn. It's just not coming through on my little app. Sorry about that. All right, so there I did an attachment, and I should be good with this question now, I think. Notice there's no save. So unlike when you're designing the templates and you're having a save, like you saw me doing a million times, when you're in here, it's saving automatically for the assessor. Yeah, the assessor. So they're not having to hit that save button over and over again. Jerry says he's doing well, and yes, it's nearly 7 p.m. Yeah, so you're like getting ready for the evening, you can watch your favorite show or work. Hopefully you're not working. Radio buttons. Okay, there's I can do option A. It just like jumped me down to the next question really fast. Did you see that? So let's reset that, and I'm just gonna say option B. It didn't do it this time. Reset. Let's do it like this. So now option B. Yeah, it didn't do it. It jumped me down before. Okay, checkbox question. I can do choice 1, choice 2, choice 3. Remember, these all have a value associated with them, so it's tallying up a score in the background. Enter some text. Here is some text. And I like this little feedback to the user there about the characters left. And you can see it saving as it moves through. Enter a number between 0 and 1000. We'll do 500 or 50. There we go. Reference question. We did service offering, so there is all my service offerings. So let's pick the complete tax forms through CIC+. That's interesting. And now I've got my attachment one. I can do the attachment again. We'll do Thomson Reuters. Jerry says he's going to be relaxing. Good for you, Jerry. You should definitely be relaxing. I've been doing more of that too in the evenings. I used to like sit on my laptop and, like maybe review applications or test things. And I'm starting to learn more just to relax in the evening and not be working so much. But I enjoy it, so I'm glad you are relaxing. Oh, tell Justin I said hello. He might be in bed by now, but tell him I said hi. Tell Justin that Justin said hi. You too, Justin. All right, we did an attachment and then the date question. So we get to pick a date from the date picker. We'll do March 31st. Hit OK, and that's it. I've completed my entire questionnaire. Notice it's showing that it is 100% complete, 8 out of 8 questions. If I had multiple sections, they would be piled up here on the left-hand side, right? So I'd have, showing the completeness of each section would show up here. Let's see, Jim says, I don't think I saw a reference qualifier on the reference questions, so it looks like an all or nothing option. That's a good question. Let's head over to the workspace. Oh, not asset workspace. Am I still Abraham Lincoln? Oh, I'm still Abraham Lincoln, so I can't do it yet. So let me go back to, oh, we'll go back there, Jim, and see if we can set a reference qualifier. Oh, I went too far back. Here we go. Yeah, we'll come back to that. I'll put your comment back up, Jim, when we get done with Abraham Lincoln. Jerry said he's still up, and he'll tell Justin that you said hi. Sweet, um, sweet, awesome. Okay, so what's the last thing to show you here, other than the assessments piling up there, or sections piling up the left-hand side, is now that I've completed it, I can submit it. So that padlock is gone from the top, and I can reassign this or submit it. So let's go ahead and submit. We get a little prompt, reviewed my answers. I understand I may no longer be able to edit, and you cannot edit this unless you're an admin. You can't edit this afterwards. It'll lock it all down. But I did notice when I'm an admin, I can actually come in and go see it. So let's go back. We'll pull Jim's question back up here. And we'll head over to the assessment workspace. And because we now have an actual assessment, we're not going to be able to edit this. This is what I meant by once it's published and has something instantiated again, it's like locked down. But let's see if we can at least see that reference question. Filter table records, Jim. So there it is. So we could do a qualifier on what ones are returned. So maybe you want to do like IT business owner or something like that. No, there's some owner fields. Thought there were owner fields. Maybe not a service offering. I bet it's on a service. Let's say active is true. No. There's life cycle stage. Okay, life cycle stage is operational. There you go. Okay, so there's an example of service offerings that we could filter. It's interesting that I cannot edit the entire assessment, but I can come in here and put my qualifier on to do that. Let's see. Yeah, versioning would make more sense to me. Yeah, I bet you it's coming, because if you look at the back end of all this, you can see like kind of what they're doing with the tables and everything. But yeah, version would be better. But I do find it interesting that I can't edit, I can't change any of the questions, but I can come in and add that filter. So that's neat. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Sorry, Jim, I keep putting your comment off. There we go. If we go back to that workspace, so now I'm an admin, and we're going to go back to that same, oh God, if I can find it, that same alert that we were looking at. I don't remember what alert it was. All assigned alerts. Let me get rid of the filter. Maybe it was it this one? Yes. Wow, I got lucky. So now I can come in as an administrator or a different type of user and see the actual assessment that was completed. And here's where I get to my first gripe. Everything looks great. We've got all the questions, all the answers, but you notice anything that's missing? Oh, look, now the right-hand side has all those different fields I put in. Oh, you know what? Maybe Abraham Lincoln didn't have permission to see all this because that wasn't showing up when Abraham Lincoln was filling it out. I hope you remember me pointing that out. But the other thing that's missing here is the score, and this is driving me bonkers because of like, well, why would you go through all the trouble to send an assessment, enable scoring, add in all your weights, and then you can't see the score on the screen? It's driving me nuts. So what I found is there is another table where those metrics are stored. So here's the way I'm going to go. I'm going to teach you some of my troubleshooting ways I troubleshoot things. So I'm going to go to tables. This is to be the system definition for tables. And I'm going to search on the application is Smart Assessment Core, or smart or basic scoring for smart assessment. So we'll just do application is Smart Assessment Core, or application is basic scoring for smart assessments. We'll just run that. We can see the table structure there. It is not, Jim. It's the stupidest thing. I don't know why it doesn't show up. Maybe it's just like they forgot or it didn't make the end of the sprint. when they're rolling this out, and I'm laughing about it because it's such an obvious oversight. But yeah, it's definitely frustrating. Metric instance is the table I want. So if we go there, again, I said it's very similar to the other assessments, but just new tables and do list view here. And there I can see that score of 41 for that assessment. Let's go ahead and pull it up. And total questions, and it doesn't even show on this form, but it did show on the list view. So there's a score for this assessment instance. But just Jim, to answer your question and visually answer your question, we'll go back in here into the list view. Here's my list view of all the regulatory assessments. And yeah, it would be nice if I could just add the score, but this is all the fields. This is it. And you can't dot walk your way there. So if I could do assessment instance, maybe I can dot walk my way there. Yeah, I can't dot walk there. I can dot walk to the assessment instance, but I need that metric table is what I'm thinking that I want to see. So it doesn't show there. So my workaround, I think what I'm going to do is add a dynamic field to this table temporarily, because I'm hopefully they come out with it in a new release. Jim says beta version, growing pains. Yes, that's the ServiceNow way, right? I actually like it. ServiceNow is very iterative in the way that they kind of develop, and so sometimes products aren't really ready for prime time until like 3 or 4 releases in. And to be fair, I haven't shown smart assessments on the channel until today, and it's been out since what, Vancouver, I think we saw. So so it took some time to get to this point. Now that's how I'm going to handle it. I'm going to add it there for my customer, because I know they didn't say anything, but the first thing they're going to ask me is like, "Where's the score for the assessment we had completed?" Because we went through a whole workshop where we went through the weights and everything. So I've got to get the score in here somehow. So maybe there'll be a part 2, another video on how to get the score to show up. So the last part that we actually have time for, can't believe it, is I wanted to show you the. I triggered that assessment by going into Compliance Workspace. But we could trigger the assessment using a flow in Workflow Studio. So new update triggers are now available in Workflow Studio. Yeah, I haven't messed around with those yet. So we'll do a new flow, and we will call it, what do we want to call it? Show smart assessment actions. And we'll just paste that down in our description. We'll build our flow. The trigger, we'll just trigger this off of a scheduled run once or something like that. And we'll do today, 2 p.m. There we go. Done. Okay, so my actions now, I don't know if they're going to be, actually I haven't been here yet, so I just know they exist. Smart assessment core. There we go. So I can have change assessment state. This is important because notice when that survey that I just did, not survey, that assessment that I just did, let's see, there's only one in the system. We can set it from completed back to open, which would enable it for the user. So what I'm thinking use case here is maybe you have a catalog item or a button in the UI to say like, oops, I need to edit my assessment. That could kick off a flow where you come in here and you change the assessment state. So that's action number 1 to show you there. And action number 2, search for smart assessment again. Copy smart assessment responses. Interesting. No description available for that one. Copy smart assessment responses. So we can do, oh, okay. So I can copy them to a new instance. So if I had 2 assessments, I could copy from one. I don't know what the use case for that would be. Yeah, I don't know what the use case with that. Why would you want to copy the questions? We'll leave that on the screen too. I meant to leave that smart assessment. Copy assessment responses. Is it smart enough to know? No, it's not smart enough to know that I selected the same thing. Okay, third one there, if you already saw it, you probably know where we're going here. Ooh, I did the cuss word on there. Reassign smart assessment. Okay, that makes sense. Someone, says, hey, I need, they're on vacation or something. I could build a flow to do the reassignment. So this, we could use the inputs. We could have said, hey, let there be some inputs, or go look up a record to get the instance or whatever. But anyways, now we can set this to a different user. We'll set it to Abraham Carroll instead of Abraham Lincoln. And the last one there was trigger smart assessment. Yeah, this is the one I was interested in. So we can set up I have my different assessments. So there's my open house session one, but I have all of them access to them. So I could set that. I could populate the assessors through some variable or an input variable, and then set who the requester is, the due date, the duration, and hours, minutes, seconds, days, hours, minutes, seconds. Duplication handling: do not create duplicate assessment, create duplicate assessment, or create new and cancel existing assessment. That's pretty cool. Assessment group: it'll do a new group if it's left empty, and then the scope. The scope is the what was the scope? Scope. What was the scope? Workspaces assessment. I know it's on that first screen. Or is it this here? The role. I don't see scope. I thought I saw scope earlier. Assessment targets. I don't know what that scope is for. It's not required, so that's good news. The only thing that's required is the template and the assessors. And then we can trigger an assessment. So let's go ahead and get rid of those other actions now that we've gone through them all. And I'm going to do the trigger one to just see if we can trigger on the fly an assessment, smart assessment. Trigger smart assessment. And we will use the one we created, open house session. And then we will assign this to add user. I don't remember this little interface before. We'll do able tutor. He's one I like to do, and we'll leave the due date as tomorrow, and we'll give him 1 day, and create duplicate assessment if one already exists. Done, save, and then we'll just hit the test button, and we should trigger an assessment to able tutor. So let's go back into the UI, grab those notifications. He should have gotten one to, there's no notification. Interesting. So when I did the flow, if you use the flow trigger, you're going to have to create your own notification. That's unfortunate, unless it didn't work. I didn't select an accessible record. Now that I think about it, what were the results? Did it work? Completed. Scope cannot be empty as the assessment template has context items. Okay, so it didn't work. I bet the scope is the target record. I bet that's what that was. I wasn't scope item 1. So let's do a different trigger. We will do record created or updated, and we'll select that regulatory alerts table because that's what my assessment is associated with currently. I use the regulatory alerts, but you could do this for any table like incident or something else. So now that I have that record, I should be able to pick that value using the picker here. Change fields. Yeah, sure. Okay. Done. Save. All that's probably really important. I just want to get one triggered so we can see. Jeez. What are the fields on that? Overall impact. I hope I'm doing this right. There's my regulatory alert record. Federal Reserve Board, run test. Boy, this brought us right to time. Okay, did create it. Sweet. So now let's go see to send Able an email. It did not send him an email. That's interesting. Let's go. What assessment did we send? It was. Scope cannot be emptied. So it's still broken? I thought I created it. Still didn't create it. Gosh dang it. Scope cannot be empty. Okay, so I have some homework to do there. That keeps erroring out on the scope. And I wasn't really familiar with the scope there. The triggering assessments here in the documentation. Configure the trigger smart assessment flow action. and trigger smart assessment action form. Scope. List of all scope items that are generated that the generated assessments are applied to. Each scope item contains two keys, table and record. For each context item that is configured at the template level, a corresponding scope must be set up. For example, if the context items for a template include tables such as controls and entity, then at least two scope items should be configured in the scope, one with table, entity, and then the record ID. Well, that's not, I don't have time to do all that, and well, actually, we're at time, so, oh well. Now I've shown you smart assessments. I've shown you, I didn't get the flow working on the fly, but I got some homework to do on that one to get that to work. But still, I'm really excited about this new smart assessment capability. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. When I just put the video back on one of those cards that comes up, there's a QR code. On that QR code, if you scan it, it'll take you to all my socials. That's YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram Reels, TikTok. What else is Threads is on there, I think. Buy me a coffee. There's all kinds of links on there. So check that out if you're interested. I'm here every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 1800 UTC. I don't know if those numbers will be the same next week because the time changes here on Sunday. So those numbers might change. The 1 o'clock will stay the same for me, but I'm not sure about the UTC. And if you have stuff you'd like to see on these live streams, I don't have a form set up for it yet, but shoot me a note on LinkedIn or drop me a comment in any of the live stream videos, and I will get alerted to that, and we'll see if I can do it. I can't make any promises because I don't know everything, but I'll try if I can. So thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it. And like I said, I'll be back here next Wednesday. Talk soon. And we'll go back to video.